What do most Fortune 500 executives have in common? They learned important lessons on the fields and courts of their high school and collegiate sports teams. This is true for both men and women. Ernst & Young found that a whopping 94% of women holding a C-suite position played sports. Their wins and losses shaped their habits and who they would become. Join me on my journey to sit with some of the brightest executives in the world as we discuss how sports shape their professional trajectory. In partnership with Chief Executive Magazine, the voice of America's CEO community. I'm your host, Don Yeager, and this is Corporate Competitor Podcast. With me for today's episode is two-time Masters Champion Bubba Watson. The golfing great is also an enthusiastic businessman with ownership stakes in the Blue Wahoos baseball team, a car dealership, and a candy shop in Pensacola, Florida. Bubba's heartfelt tears in the winner's circle, boy band YouTube sensation Golf Boys, and passionate advocacy for adoption have endeared him to millions. But my admiration for Bubba comes from his vulnerability and his willingness to talk about mental health. In the time spent writing a book together, I learned that in near lockstep with his considerable success on the golf course and growing portfolio of businesses, Watson has had to confront his mental health head on.
I wanted that for my own ego. I wanted that so bad for me. So I could have trophies on my mantle that says, I'm an Olympian, I'm a Masters champion. When really it doesn't matter because I've got all the champions I need right here in my house, my wife, my two kids. And I'm still gonna have struggles. Long as I can voice and communicate with my wife and my team, I should be on the right path.
Bubba, thanks for joining us.
Yes, thanks for having me. This will be fun.
You know, it has been a year since we began working together on a book project. And I love all that I've been able to learn, not just about your gift in golf, but about how you've marshaled other aspects of your life to help become better at your gift. One of the things that really stood out was that as a child, you're just a little guy, and your mom actually made your dad take you to the golf course in order for him to be able to go play. Tell me about how you became introduced to golf and how that grew to be.
You know, every parent, I believe, believes their child is going to be successful at anything they do. That's the hope, the dream, the feelings. And my childhood is like any kid's childhood that plays sports. I played all the sports, and my dad was definitely thinking, I'm good enough at sports to play baseball. I'm good enough at sports to play golf. Whatever I choose, I'm going to be great at it. And that's what his mindset was. But my dad was not very good at golf and quit. So finally, when he wanted to go back to play golf with the workers that he worked with at his company at the plant here in town, my mom said, you have to take your son. And he said, I want a baseball player. I don't want a golfer. My mom said, no, you're taking your son. Obviously, the boss in our household is my mom. So I was at the golf course that day. It's a 9-hole course at the time. And I mean, this is a plan from God because golf courses, golf clubs, left-handers were not around.
Right.
That equipment didn't exist. When I say didn't exist, we'll say it's very hard to find. Lo and behold, the head pro at the golf course my dad was going to, he was left-handed. And my dad knew I was left-handed. He gave my dad an old 9-iron. My dad cut it down, put the grip on it. There's my first golf club. It was a free golf club. My dad was very good at cheaply getting things. That's what I used for a year. My dad would give me a ball and I would just go down the fairway behind him. And I just beat balls at the golf course once, maybe twice a month, if that. And I would play golf in my yard. That's where I just had the 9-iron and I made up my own courses. I started dreaming. Instead of playing with toys and back then G.I. Joe men, I was playing with plastic golf balls, right? And so for me, it was how to be a golfer. The whole story comes back to my mom. Without my mom's influence, that her being the leader of the household, she's the one that got me into golf. She's the one that got my dad to take me. It was the timing, the plan. That's way above our pay grade.
And the idea that the golf pro was a left-hander.
Right. You can't draw this up. These stories, they just keep adding up over year after year to here we are today.
Yeah. Growing up, your dad did work with you some on your golf game ultimately when he realized how much passion you had for it, but you never actually got a formal lesson. You never had a coach, which is so unique, especially in that sport, which seems so highly coached. What does being self-taught mean to you?
Well, let's start with the first part. My dad was telling me the basics, right? You could tell somebody the basics if you've played golf before. You got to get your grip the right way. You got to aim towards the target. You got to swing it this way and follow through this way. And my dad knew that, chipping and putting, practice chipping and putting, real high basics.
Yes.
With that being said, now you go to what I've learned. And because of my personality type, my imagination, my creativity, it's one of those things, it's not for everybody. Some people need lessons, some people need encouragement this way or instruction this way or that way. For me, it was about learning myself. So I go out there and I hit balls, or I go out there and I play golf and I go, okay, what caused that? Why did that cause that shot? What was the swing? Why did I do it that way? Why didn't I do it this way? And so over time, all the practice in my house, in my yard, all the practice at the course, it's just developed my game. And I knew that it's not about being pretty when it comes to golf. It's about being the lowest score. Whatever that looks like to me, it doesn't matter. I want the lowest score. If you shoot 70, I hope I shoot 69 and I beat you.
Right.
So it's not about looking pretty or the perfect swing or the perfect setup, any of that. It's just things I've learned. So again, my imagination took over and made my setup the way it is.
That's such a great lesson too. For you, it was that imagination that allowed you to create something which has become obviously a gift that you're able to share with so many others.
Yes, for sure. And it's one of those things where my parents, my upbringing was so great that my imagination was so far in the future. It was so focused on playing on the PGA Tour. It was so focused on retirement. It was so focused on all these things and not the moment at hand. I never wanted to party. I was so focused on what's in the future. And I truly believe it's just the upbringing of my family. They were just two different upbringings. My mom graduated college. She went to Mississippi State. And my dad dropped out of school in high school, 10th grade, I think it was. He was so like, I could make more money if I drop out and go to work right away. Back then, money was different. Cars cost a lot less back then, all these things. He saw a process that way to better himself. And I took the common sense side, I guess you would say, from my dad. His common sense was so through the roof that he didn't need a book to explain stuff to him. He just figured it out in his head. And that's the same thing I did on golf, same thing I do business wise. It grew from that side of him. And I think the hard work, the dedication of the game, the dedication of everything that I do comes from my mom. Not that my dad didn't work hard, but those are two attributes that they each do separately at a high level, and it kind of packages it together.
Your mom's hard work even caddied for you a bit, right?
Yeah, so my mom, I'm going to say she's not the most athletic person, but she loves sports. Basketball is one of her passions. She loves watching basketball. I remember watching WGN, Michael Jordan play. We watched him nonstop. Anytime he was on TV, our family was watching it. She couldn't explain golf to me. She couldn't show me anything or teach me anything, but she was there with love and support. She'd carry my bag as a young child. She'd always make sure I had water. Water was the key. That's going to make me play better, water. And yes, after work on the weekends, she would take me out there and it'd just be me and her. And I would just be playing golf and she would just be watching. It wasn't like she was talking to me. It wasn't like, she'd say, good shot. There was no instruction. It was just straight being there with her son and showing love the best way she knew how. And that was to carry the bag and make sure he was having fun.
That's it. I love it. One of the early lessons in all of that is that through all of those folks being around you, you realize that golf may be an individual sport, or it appears to be to most of the world, but it's truly a team sport. You have to have a support mechanism around you in order to be successful at what you do there.
Hmm.
That's an interesting dynamic. Most people don't consider or don't know or don't think of golf as a team sport.
Yes, 100%. And it starts with the top, and the top is your wife. Having a wife that played professional basketball for 4 years, went through a lot of injuries, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of great moments, a lot of sad moments. I was there for a part of those when she was having surgeries and different things, when she was still playing at the time. So she knows the dedication, she knows the energy, she knows everything it takes to be at the top. New to her, new to me was the fame or the sponsorship, what comes with that. And so now when you talk about the sponsorships and the outside dollars, it comes with the team. And that team is a caddy is next, carries my bag. He helps me, calms me down. He helps me get the right yardage, the numbers, helps me with putts, helps me do all the things so I can be great inside the ropes. And then you have the manager, then you have your right-hand man, the money man. You have all these people But all these people have the same thought process. How do we get better as people? Not just how do we get better as a golfer, but how do we get better as people? How do we help a community? How do we help a world? So we're all having the same ultimate goals. I'm not just a golfer, an individual. There's a lot of other things that go with it. You need a team. And if it doesn't start with the top, the leadership, the wife, then you're going to have a struggle. And luckily, again, God's timing, God's plan. I met a beautiful woman that's led me in the right direction.
You know what? I want to jump to that because you were at Georgia and you happened upon a pretty amazing women's basketball player where you made reference. I love the story of your effort to get her attention while playing in a pickup basketball game. Can you share it with us?
I can. I had some struggles when I was at Georgia and I didn't graduate yet. So I had one more semester. My parents told me to quit, drop out of school and just go pro. And I stayed that extra semester. And so that's when I actually met Angie. So if I would have dropped out,
God's plan.
exactly. It's the timing and the plan that's above us, right? So I'm playing pickup basketball. It's called the Ramsey Center, where there's like, we'll say 10 courts. The first court, the shortest walk is the best players. And then it goes down. The furthest you walk is we'll say the lesser players. Angie's a year older. So she was out of school already in the WNBA, but she hurt her knee. So she's rehabbing back at Georgia with the training staff and the medical staff at Georgia. So I'm there with some of the girls that I knew on the team, and I was playing with them. I was their fifth player. I basically didn't do much. They did it all. But we kept winning on the good court. Angie comes in, and I remember her from seeing her in the past. So I was like, I'm going to talk to this girl. And I overheard her talking about the WNBA. She had a brace on, she had crutches. How do I try to talk to this girl? And I just kept on. And then, oh my gosh, a ball came towards her and she almost fell. And everybody started laughing, her friends. So I was laughing. And she was like, what are you laughing at? Who are you? I was part of the girls, right? We were on the team together. And so the next day comes up and the next day, and then I overhear her talking about golf. Finally, I was like, hey, do you want to play golf sometime? And she was like, who are you? You're wearing khaki short and a t-shirt and black Jordans with white socks. Like this outfit is not basketball. Like, who are you? So she didn't know really much about me, but somehow I kept bugging her. And so she said, yeah, let's play some golf. And we went out and played. And, we got married in '04.
I love it.
Yeah, it was one of those moments where she could care less who I was. She could look at me and tell I wasn't a basketball player because of my outfit. It's like golf, though. I can tell when somebody's not a golfer when they show up to the golf course the right way.
They've got to have their link sole on in order to look as good as you, which is awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
See, like sponsor mentioned, there we go. As a child growing up, you played a course called Tanglewood outside of Pensacola.
Mhm.
And I know you've shared that course presented some unique challenges that would later become valuable to you because of the way that it was set up narrow and some other things. And you had to actually work on aspects of your game that you might not have had to had you played in some other more grandiose courses.
Right.
Tell me about playing at Tanglewood and how this kind of scrappy course and scrappy little Bubba would come together and help you develop into what you would become.
When I think about the holes at Tanglewood, when I first started, it was 9 holes. It was called Rolling Greens. And within the first year, maybe year and a half, they added 9 more holes. And that's when they changed it to Tanglewood. The holes are just so tree lined. There's so much out of bounds. There's houses. There's some holes with grass, some holes without grass. There's pine straw. There's dirt. The nicest way to say it is the condition wasn't the best. It's one of those stories that to me, it makes sense. To a lot of people, it doesn't. When you're thinking about hitting a golf shot, everybody wants to hit it straight. Well, the hardest shot in golf to hit is straight. You feel like it's got to move one way or the other. So there's so many different shots that I learned. I can sit here and visibly think about number one is a cut driver for me being left-handed. Number two is a draw driver. Number three is a draw. Number four is a cut. And my dad always said, you hit it as hard as you can, just like in baseball. Just have fun with it. Just enjoy it. You're just doing this as fun. Like this isn't life or death for you. This isn't your job. This is just for you being fun and being a kid. And so I would swing for the fences. And before John Daly came out, I swung past parallel. I did all these things that John Daly was doing when he came out. But as a young kid, a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old, the golf course shaped who I was because I was hitting driver everywhere.
Right.
It was making me curve the ball certain ways. It was making me hit it high over trees, making me hit it low under trees. So that golf course made me be more creative and made me realize that I could hit certain shots and do certain things. There's 2 other great champions from that golf course, Heath Slocum and Boo Weekley. If you look at all 3 of our games, They're totally different. Heath Slocum is one of the best short games that we've ever seen. He's won 4 times, I believe, on the PGA Tour. Boo, I think, has won 3 times on the PGA Tour. But his game is a beautiful swing, a slight draw, hits the same divot every time. It's just perfect. And then me, I'm just swinging for the fences and hitting curves and hooks and all these things. 3 different players from that same golf course, 3 different upbringings, 3 different ways to go about it.
Hmm.
But yes, if I would have went to a pristine golf course and the fairways were like carpet, I probably wouldn't have learned all the shots. I probably would have tried to hit it straighter, which we probably wouldn't have this conversation right now because it probably wouldn't turn out the way it has been over the last 20 or so years.
Well, in fact, you start talking about curves and hooks and things that you were able to learn that you were able to apply later. 10 years after you turned pro, 2012, you win the Masters.
Hmm.
Most coveted golf tournament on the planet. I know how much it means to you. I know it even played a role in why you went to the University of Georgia, because you wanted to be able to play at Augusta that one time a year. But to complete that victory, you had to hit a shot that today it's still listed as among the 10 best shots ever hit at the Masters. You're deep in the woods on the 10th hole in a playoff. Tell us what happens.
So you draw from anything you possibly can draw from. I don't know about other people, but I draw from everything in the environment going on at that moment. With the playing partner, the person I'm trying to beat comes up just short of the green. I knew how difficult that chip shot was. The breeze was coming right to left with a slight help. So now with me hooking the ball being left-handed, going right to left, that means once it gets out past the trees, it was going to be downwind and the wind's going to help it draw or hook. When I'm drawing on every bit of information I possibly can draw on, it's giving me more and more confidence. It's giving me more and more energy. I guess you'd say it's pumping me up more and more. And when I saw the lie on the pine straw, I was like, Tanglewood, we've hit millions of these shots at Tanglewood. It's funny because Boo and Heath, when they interviewed him afterwards, they're like, man, we've seen him do that so many times. It's no big deal. Now, the Masters makes it the big deal. But if we were at Tanglewood, everybody'd be like, yeah, it's no big deal for Bubba. At that moment, drawing information from every area I could get information from that gives me the mindset or the energy, getting me pumped up where I can pull this shot off at this moment is what I'm trying to use. And then my caddy, Teddy, who's been on my bag for 15 years, knows me. He just basically handed me the bag. I looked at the club that we came up with, a 52-degree gap wedge, grabbed the club, and he just walked away because he knew, like, I'm in my element. There's not a million shots that I could pick. It's one shot. That's the only shot you have right here. 134 front, 164 to the pin. Pin was on the back. And basically, you hit it as hard as I want. If the energy's there, it might get to the hole. If the energy's not there, it still gets to the front of the green. And that's what our focus was, the front of the green. But obviously, with the adrenaline, with the wind, with all the situation, my energy was there and I got it up there, roughly 12, 15 feet to the hole, something like that. So yeah, I mean, it goes back to the kid days where you're using every bit of imagination to get the result you want. And that result was getting me pumped up, giving me the energy, giving me the mindset that I was focused on that one shot at hand. The pull off in the trees, that obviously it'll go down in history for many, many years. And hopefully I do more things. But if nothing else, they'll remember me for that one shot.
They will remember you. I had the opportunity, thanks to you, to be at the Masters in 2021. I was there with Randall Wells, your partner in crime.
Right.
Randall actually and I ended up walking into the woods to find the spot. And when we got there were other people congregated around trying to figure out, was this the spot where Bubba? And I thought, isn't that amazing that years later, here they are, people still trying to figure out how did he do it? Because you had to come out of the woods and then the ball had to take a hard right in order to be able to kind of make it up toward the green. As you said, you drew upon what you had done previously, Tanglewood. Pretty amazing. It's always fun, I know, to be in the comfort of the fairway. But unfortunately, that's not really where life is played, right?
100%.
And drawing upon experiences, things you've been able to do in the past, are those things that can help guide you out of the woods.
Right, exactly. You get a lot of curveballs no matter what part of life you're in or no matter what business you're in. There's curveballs left and right.
I like it. In 2015, you guys moved to Pensacola as a family, and you became deeply involved in the community, even opening a candy and ice cream store, Bubba's Sweet Spot, my daughter's favorite. And you purchased a Chevrolet dealership. You became part owner of the Blue Wahoos baseball team. Exciting. The lessons that you learned from golf and your experiences over the years, how do they transfer into these new and different efforts in the business world?
It's funny, golf has taught me many, many things. Like you said, people see us as individuals. but truly we're not. We have a team around us. And as you know, and as anybody would know, a business is only successful if the team around the business, the people around the business, is there performing at their best. The other side of golf has taught me about charity. I mean, when you think about the PGA Tour, we're closing on, if we haven't already passed, $3 billion given away through the game of golf, just on the PGA Tour players and PGA Tour tournaments. So that has shaped me, changed who I am as a person as well. And then think about junior golf. There were some tournaments that I paid very little. When I say my parents paid very little. And there was junior tournaments where we didn't pay anything at all because some business, somebody provided sponsorship for that. So I heard about these things. My parents told me that this tournament cost a lot, or this tournament cost little, or this tournament cost none. I knew about these things, but I didn't really put it all together until I got older. The game of golf has brought the element of what a team means, what the charity dollars mean, and what a community means. And when I think about Pensacola, and when I say Pensacola, it's kind of skewed because I really think about Escambia County, where I was born, in Baghdad and Santa Rosa County, where I lived since I was 4 years old. So really my earliest days I can remember was Baghdad. Those two counties, which involves Pensacola and Baghdad, Milton, Pace, and surrounding areas, that's my home. And when I think about the community, why would I not want to bless a community or be part of a community that's blessed me and my family beyond belief? I've been able to do things in my life that I can only dream of. And then when they actually come true, we're like, wait a second, that really happened. I mean, somehow I was a Olympic athlete. You know what I'm saying? Like the Olympics wasn't even on my radar because golf was not even in the Olympics. And then somehow Bubba Watson's now in the Olympics, winning the Masters. You can only dream of that. Coming from Baghdad, Florida, to do that. Now, going back to the community side, I had to have a plan.
Right.
Me and my wife, because of the adoption process, we moved back to Florida, Orlando, because of Caleb and everything that went on in our lives at that moment. That's when I started dreaming, man, we're this close to Pensacola. We're this close to the community that raised me. There's a baseball team there now. My mom's still there. My dad's passed away, but my mom's still there. There's talks of this hospital. As you mentioned, Randall Wells, my partner in crime, he started hearing more and more about this pitch of the children's hospital. He called me and he said, Bubba, is there any way you'd want to be a part of this? Well, yeah, I was born there. My sister was born there. My dad passed away. His cancer treatments were there before he passed away. That hospital is a lot to my family. So when you think of a community, how do you build a community? First thing I think of is, what can we do for that community? Everybody at some point is going to need a hospital.
Going to need it.
Hopefully, you're the lucky one that doesn't need it and you can just support it. Now, when you think about children's, the growth of a community in the right direction, you're going to need children's care. Now with the children's hospital, I had the ability to be a part of it. My wife accepted it and she loved the idea. It's a no-brainer for me.
Now the road that enters the children's hospital is
Bubba Watson Drive.
Bubba Watson Drive.
Has a 9-foot statue of me there.
Right.
And that's my legacy. When I say my legacy, it's the Watson name legacy. I remember waking up at 5:30 2 years ago, May 4th. The first patient was moved from the hospital to the children's hospital at 6:45 a.m. My son wanted to go. And man, I can remember us watching babies among babies go over. I think we moved about somewhere between 28 that day and then a total of 40-ish over the next week or so. But yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where, we saw babies without parents. So I got to talk to Caleb a little bit about that and seen these great moms. When I say moms, volunteer moms who come and just cuddle with the babies and hug the babies and just kind of give them love and affection. And there's so many stories. I mean, gosh, I could tear up. I cried that day. Me and Randall, we were trying to look the other way when they were telling us these stories about these moms.
Pollen.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, the air conditioning here is something, dust. So when I think about the community, I really think about a community that raised me. And then now Quint Studer with the baseball team. I threw out a first pitch in 2014 with the green jacket on because I won the Masters again in 2014. And I was more scared to death to throw out the first pitch in the green jacket because I hadn't warmed up. And I don't even know if this green jacket could even stretch to throw a ball. So now I'm like, oh my gosh, if I rip the green jacket right here in public, I mean, it's going to be messed up. Luckily, it came across nice and I threw it right in the glove. No rips.
Which would have been worse, ripping the jacket or throwing a 50-cent first pitch?
Oh my gosh. The throw was the easy part. I just didn't want the jacket to mess up. No, there was no chance that I wouldn't let that happen. I'd break my arm before that happened. Again, it's like my golf game. I figure out a way to make it work.
Right.
So Quint Studer now, we go underneath the stadium. past the dugout, and he goes, "Man, I would love to work with you sometime," because he's already working with Randall a little bit, doing some charity stuff. And we're talking about the hospital. We're in engagements with the hospital at this moment. And I said, "Look, how about we partner in the baseball team?" He stops and he looks at me and he goes, "Why do you want to be part of the baseball team?" And, what is most people's answers? They want to know what the investment is. They want to know how much money we're going to make. Can we make money? Are we making money? Are we not making money? So, first thing I said, it's about the community. We want the community to come here. I want my family to be able to come here and enjoy something, be involved in a community, have a team to cheer for. For one moment, we can all pull for the same team. Forget politics, right?
Right.
This is what sports is about. It's not about politics. It's for me and you to disagree. But when it comes to our team, we're painting our face blue. You know what I'm saying? That's what sports is about. And so I told him all these different things and what it does for the community, what it does for my son. My son's wanting to be a baseball player because he sees these other young guys trying to make it to the next level. He stopped after a couple minutes and he goes, "Wait, you haven't asked me about money yet." I said, "I don't care about money. I got a real job over here. Money is not my thing. And I got a Randall over here, so we're good."
We'll be back after this.
Your business phone service should not be complicated to set up, manage, and use. Nextiva connects your phone system with business apps, AI, and automation on a single platform to run your business. With their easy-to-use dashboard, you will be able to connect with your team and customers all in one place. Nextiva, powering communication across the Pac-12 and now the Corporate Competitor Podcast.
Welcome back to Corporate Competitor Podcast. You invested in the Blue Wahoos, which had to, in its own small ways, be a full circle for you. Your dad wanted you to be a pitcher for the Yankees. I guess now if this day job thing doesn't work out, you can go get the Wahoos, try to work you in, and you can become a Miami Marlins guy, right?
Exactly, like Tim Tebow.
Just keep trying until something happens,
Just
right?
something clicks. Yeah, exactly. So when I think about the community and what Pensacola means to me and my family, the beauty of the beaches, the beauty of different colleges here, the Blue Angels being here, the different golf courses, it's so fun to be here. And so for us, it was a no-brainer to be part of the smaller team. And at any given moment, we have 24 full-time staffers that work year-round. But then during a game day, a homestand, we have somewhere in between 200, 230 workers.
Wow.
And when you think about the jobs that you're creating, the atmosphere you're creating from the fan standpoint, seeing the funny acts that come up, kids are cheering, kids love it. The different games you have on the field, the Roach Run that we have.
The Roach Run is hilarious.
Yeah, the fireworks on every Saturday night. Win or lose, we still do fireworks on Saturday night. It's just so fun. And then, the ice cream shop, there's another thought. How do you get people downtown? How are you going to revitalize downtown? Foot traffic, right?
Mm-hmm.
When one person starts fixing up a building, that puts a thought in somebody else's head to fix up another building. And I'm a kid at heart and I love sugar. Who doesn't? We already had the baseball team. Now let's get people 2 blocks away from the baseball team and get people downtown. The lower end of Palafox was one of Quint's projects of trying to revitalize Pensacola. So I said, "Hey, what about a candy shop?" And he said, "Gosh, I love that idea." So he's helped me tremendously. The hometown I grew up in, Pensacola, is where I was born, but Milton, Baghdad, there's a car dealership. It's changed hands so many times since I was a kid, maybe 6 or 7 different names on it. And Sandy Sansing, who was a great golfer in his own right, played golf at University of West Florida right here many, many years ago. He has a few car dealerships, 10. He's well known for his funny commercials, but he sponsored many junior golf tournaments. I can remember his name vividly on the scoreboards and different things because he was a golfer. He gave back to the community. He's done so well, like Quint. He sponsors baseball, football, any kind of youth athletics. He's always been a part of it because of his own kids and because of his own beliefs. When he came to me about, "Hey, would you want to be part of a car dealership?" I was like, "Oh my gosh, how would I not want to be? I've been wasting money for cars left and right." So now I'd have one car brand I can deal with, and that'd be amazing. And if it goes under or it's not managed the right way, you're not really helping an environment of a business. And when you think about 60 jobs roughly at the dealership, you're talking about helping lives of so many people that go beyond just the workers, but their wives, their kids, their grandparents. Same thing with the candy shop, especially during the summer. The candy shop employs somewhere 12 to 15 young kids, maybe college kids. Maybe they're trying to pay off debt for school loans, whatever it is, right? And we're giving them a job. And then One that we just recently, over the last couple of years, is the range.
Right.
My mom loves the outdoors. She loves picking up the tree limbs and cutting little hedges and being out there picking up the range balls. So she left the candy shop and now she works at the driving range. And again, it's a few jobs that we've created.
You know what is so fun about that is that Bubba Watson is like never going to grow up.
Right.
You get to hit a little white ball as your real job. Then you get to own a baseball team, a candy shop, and a car dealer. I mean, everything that you wanted as a kid, you now as a full-grown pro are getting a chance to enjoy. I love it.
These aren't things that I ask about what is the money we're making. It's about creating a position where one day maybe somebody that works with me or worked for me or worked wherever, they do what I've done later in their life, and they're more successful than I am, that they can help build up their community that they were born at.
They can look back like you do Sandy Sansing and imagine,
Right.
there's that example. 2016, you are the 7th ranked golfer in the world. You're playing pretty well, and it's time for the Ryder Cup, that great international competition. The USA team is being selected, and Davis Love, who was the captain, does not choose you to be on the team. Obviously, heartbreak, no fun. Everybody wants to be a competitor, but instead of pouting, complaining, wailing, you did a most extraordinary thing, maybe one of the most amazing things I've seen in sports. You said, I want to do something different. Tell me what you offered to do and what happened next.
So I was home from Atlanta, the tour championship. I already flew home back to Pensacola. So I'm in my house and I'm expecting a call, hopefully good, but I felt deep down in my heart it was going to be a bad call. And Davis Love called me. He said he wasn't going to call me, but then he only called me because I was 7th in the world. And it's one of those weird moments that you're telling the 7th best player in the world not to be on the team. Ryan Moore, who I've known for many years, gosh, we started hanging out since 2007. Ryan Moore played beautifully in the FedEx playoffs, top 10 in all 4. So he was playing the best. If you look at truly the best player at the moment, even though he hasn't won one of the 4, he was playing high level golf. And gosh, I can remember it vividly where I never was upset. I was happy where I was. I was happy who I am. So I looked to my right. My wife, she was standing at the door and she looked at me, basically asking yes or no if I'm on the team. And I shook my head no. Still talking to Davis. I said, Davis, I know I didn't make the team and I agree with you. Ryan Moore is playing unbelievable. You got to pick him. No harm, no foul. It's great. But I would like to be part of the team. The team means so much to me. My dad's last event was 2010. He watched me play the Ryder Cup from a hospital bed with IVs, going through them to keep him hydrated and everything. Last event that he ever watched. And 9 days after the Ryder Cup, he passed away. It just means something different to everybody, but that's my story and what it means to me. And so I said, Davis, I know you have one more vice captain. He said, what do you mean? And I was like, well, I'd like to be the vice captain. And he said, do what? And, he's crying. I'm crying. There's a lot of tears because it's tough. I mean, it's tough for him. It's tough for me. Even though I'm not upset, it's still that moment, right? And I said, well, look, my wife is a little upset right now. I need to go talk to her. Can I call you right back? And he goes, yes, call me right back. So I went in the kitchen and she goes, why do you want to be vice captain? No, you need to be on the team. Only thing I said to her, I said, what would Jesus do? And she goes, okay, I guess we're going to be up there being vice captain. Perfect. So I went back into the office and I called him and I said, look, man, it would mean a great deal to me. And he goes, well, you're going to have to work. And I said, I'm not coming up there for a show. I'm coming up there to be part of the team and work. And he asked me why. And I said, look, man, Jesus would do it. He washed feet of people. He had 12 disciples. How many people are on the team? There's 12 people on the team, not counting the captains, just 12 players. And I said, I want to be there. And he said, perfect. And Teddy,
yes,
my longtime caddy, I called him and I said, hey, man, I'd love for you to be up here. He said, well, is the captain going to let me? Like, I'm not on the team. I'm just a caddy. No, man, I made sure. And so Teddy came up there and I guess he would be the assistant to the caddies. So there's like a head of the caddies, just like there's a head of the team, right? Davis had his caddy. So yes, everybody loves Teddy. And so it was a no-brainer. And again, we were there to work. We weren't there to just giggle and be there for a photo op. So we were there to work. And I remember getting to the hotel, the team hotel for both teams. And the first person I saw was Jim Furyk. Jim Furyk looks at me. keeps looking at me. He goes, "You're a lot bigger man than I am." Gave me a hug and we shed some tears. Now, the first player I saw was Ryan Moore, him and his wife. He's never been on a team, so it's a learning experience. Luckily, I've been on quite a few President's Cup, Ryder Cup teams, so I know the ropes and what we need to do. And I remember grabbing his bags, him and his wife's bags, and I wheeled him up to the room and said, "Here's all your clothes hanging on the hangers here. Try them all on. Go get them fit." And I said, "Look, man, you're playing great, man. Keep doing it. Like, we got to win this thing." And I didn't. It wasn't about I'm mad at him. It's not him. I mean, he beat me. Like, what are you going to do, right? It was an eye opener for me, what life's all about. It opened my eyes to one of my callings, I guess you would say, to inspire people, to help people. I felt like that was my moment. Me and Brooks Koepka, I didn't really know him. He's a young guy, right?
Right.
First team event. Me and him didn't really hang out much. We knew each other, but that week it was different, right? You're really close to everybody. You get to see the ups and downs. You get to see them mad when they miss a putt. You get to see them happy when they're in the team room eating donuts, right? And so I remember afterwards, Brooks come to me and look at me dead in my eyes and just say, "Man, I want to be like you. I want to learn from you. I appreciate what you did. You're a top ranked player in the world and you're here just helping us." And that sparked a friendship. Now me and Brooks we talk a lot on FaceTime when we have off weeks. The Snedeker family, same thing with him. Those are the two that I probably had a lot of influence on that week because they got to see the true Bubba, not what the internet says about Bubba Watson, but what's real. And that close niche that we were, they got to see that Bubba was the first one up in the morning. Bubba was the last one to leave the team room. I don't drink alcohol, so there was no partying for me. I could wake up early or go to bed late. So I was up early. I was there late. Whenever the captain texted me, it could be 3 a.m. I answered his text right back, made sure the sandwiches were done just right, made sure everybody had a bottle of water. Remember, water was the key. You'll play better, water. Made sure everybody wore the right outfits. So yeah, I did the hard work,
It's one of my favorite stories. I actually had the chance to interview Davis Love about it, and he told me how blown away he was, just as Jim Furyk. That's not the expected answer from somebody who's playing at the level you were playing to say, you know what, I'm going to come and serve. And for him and for others, Tiger Woods and others actually said, my gosh, I can't believe he's here and doing that. And you're right. It shed a light on things that you wanted to make sure were shared with other people. And that was your ability, your willingness to serve.
Yes, people saw that. And it wasn't about me boasting, I'm here, I'm seventh in the world and I'm here. It was none of that. I didn't do any interviews till afterwards because I didn't want anything to be about me. It was all about these 12 guys, Davis Love, right? It was a teaching moment, not only for me, it was a teaching moment for my wife, teaching moment for Teddy, my 2 kids. There were so many moments. I remember sending photos to Caleb when he was home about me and my earpiece. And I remember them sending me photos back of him having a fake headset on, kind of like the headset I got on now, just walking around the house acting like he was the captain. There was moments, teaching moments that we're going to be able to share years and years to come with other people or my own family. And hopefully we've taught other people. And it's been a game changer for me because now it's a different process. Right after that, I had some issues mentally and physically that I was dealing with. But going forward from that moment, it's taught me I need to do more of helping. Forget so much about the golf.
Yeah. And, the thing that you just mentioned there, you have been able to be of help to other people in the last year, especially by speaking out about some of the challenges that you faced there around anxiety. An important part of writing the book was your desire to share with others your struggle in that area. You now regularly say, I love this phrase, it's okay to not be okay. How did coming to that place change you and the relationships around you?
When I was growing up, a tough man, like my dad was as tough as I've ever seen. He was a special forces Green Beret captain, guerrilla warfare. That means hand to hand combat.
Yes.
He had a piece of shrapnel on his back by his kidneys from a grenade. So we got it out when he passed away. So we still have that piece.
Wow.
Toughest man I know by far, but he was soft on the inside, but he didn't want anybody to know it. What I've learned over the years is that society, many, many moons ago, has taught us these things: how to be cool, how to be the tough guy, how to look tough, how to feel tough, and all these things. And what does that mean? One of the stigmatisms about adoption is, if you're not a real man or not a real woman, if you adopt. Again, that's an internet myth. We've helped 2 beautiful kids in our own home, not counting the other stuff we do, but just our own home, we've helped 2 beautiful kids hopefully be successful when they get older. And if nothing else, we try to give them the best life we know how. When I look back at this now, thinking about my own issues, I put so much pressure on myself trying to make the Ryder Cup team and the 7th ranked player in the world, trying to make the Olympics the same year. I wanted that for my own ego. I wanted that so bad for me, so I could have trophies on my mantle that says I'm an Olympian, I'm a Masters champion. When really the Masters, my golf career, my business career, my money level, it doesn't matter because I've got all the champions I need right here in my house, my wife, my 2 kids. But you lose sight of those things. And then the internet belief of, to be a man, you can't talk about your failures. You can't talk about that you have mental issues, that you're dealing with something, that something's eating you inside. Even though people saw it. I mean, I went from 190 pounds to 162 the last time I checked my weight. So they could see a physical change. Everybody's like, man, you look good. I was like, no, I don't. I look like I'm losing weight and I don't feel good. But I didn't say that to people. It was eating me inside. And finally, I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm literally done. I'm going to tell the world.
Mhm.
I remember Kevin Love was the first one to come out and talk about mental health. I love basketball. So when Kevin Love playing with the Cavs, I've got to meet him a couple times and just say hello to him. And then Michael Phelps, gosh, greatest Olympian of all time, greatest medal winner of all time. There's so many names you could put to Michael Phelps, right? Freak athlete, whatever you want to put. But I've got to know him over the years because of the Olympics. I got to be in the training pool with him, not in the pool, but next to the pool watching him right before he goes off and wins another gold medal. He comes out and talks about mental health. Man, if these 2 guys can do it, who I look up to as people and consider them friends, I should do that. If they're brave enough to do it, why can't I do it? It's going to help me. Nobody else in the world is going to help me deal with my own issues. So instead of holding it in and fighting it off, I get to voice it. And if you like it, great. If you can use it, great. But if nothing else, it helps me. That means it helps my wife. It helps Teddy. It helps my team, helps my kids, helps everybody because I've got it off my shoulders. If I inspire one person, and that person could be my own wife, it could be my mom, it could be you, it could be Teddy, it could be somebody in the other half of the world over there that hears my story, then it's for the right cause. I don't think it makes you a less of a man
Not at all.
or more of a man. It just gets a problem and helps a problem hopefully go away or at least calm it down a little bit. And I'm still going to have struggles. We're all going to have struggles, no matter if you want to talk about it or not. We all have struggles in life. Last week was 3-putting. I 3-putted a lot last week on tour. But there's going to be a lot bigger issues come up at some point where I'm going to have to deal with this again. And long as I can voice and communicate with my wife and my team, I should be on the right path.
That is so powerful. I share with Randall that during the Masters, you shared some of this discussion around your challenge and anxiety. And I got a phone call from a longtime friend of mine who worked in the White House who's in tears because she said, I can't believe that somebody I respect like Bubba Watson is able to say those words because those are the words I'm feeling right now too. And I can't voice them because it seems weak to say that. So you're stepping out there, just as you used Kevin Love and Michael Phelps as examples. You're creating that for other people. Thank you for doing that.
Yes, for sure.
You know, you've mentioned several times adoption. In 2012, you adopted your son, Caleb. And that's actually that week you won the Masters, right?
Right.
You adopted your daughter, Dakota, in 2014, and you went on to win the World Golf Championship the next week. Why don't you have more children?
Exactly. My wife asks me that all the time. It's funny. We adopt Caleb. He's a month and a day old. The lawyer actually hands him over.
How emotional.
And Ricky Fowler, who I see as my brother, he was there the day after I got home to Orlando with Caleb and I won the Masters. He happened to show up because he had a photo shoot. So he showed up to my house. And now Dakota, gosh, I was in China and Angie, our nanny, and Caleb are in California. This birth mom is about to give birth. It was a scheduled C-section. So we knew the exact date, but being Masters champion, I couldn't really back out, right? And I'm not going to lie. I told her, I said, look, a lot of things can happen. California laws, adoption laws. She could have the baby and say no. Do I want to go to California with y'all? Or do I want to stay on my schedule and go to China and Japan to help the future of our family? And she said, no, go. We got this. You'll be home in a few days. And my wife is phenomenal, by the way.
Incredible.
After I got home from China and Japan, she let me sleep for 3 days in our house in Orlando. Then I flew over to California. because Dakota couldn't leave the state of California for quite some time, a couple of weeks at least, till we got paperwork signed. So I hold this bunker shot in China, and then I make this putt in the playoff, and so I win. I mean, it was like I double bogey 17. I hole out for eagle out of a bunker. I will never forget it because me and Ricky Fowler, we gave the best. It's a high five, but it's a low five. And I can still remember the video where we gave the best high five, low five that we've ever given in our life. It was like perfect timing on the hands, everything. You know, and I'm crying. I'm talking to her on the phone because she stayed up to watch because I was winning by 2 or 3 starting the day. And we're crying, but we're not crying because of the win. We're crying about what's about to happen, and we can't tell the world yet. You know, nobody knew about Dakota even a month or so later, right? And Ricky was there holding her in secrecy at our house in Orlando a month and a half later. I guess Ricky should live in our house too, because he's always been around the good moments.
What traits from your father do you want to pass on to Caleb and Dakota?
Oh, man. Such good questions. My dad told me never to lie. He goes, it might hurt you. Truth sometimes hurts. It might hurt the person. It might hurt you, but it's better than the lie because that's going to hurt even worse. So no matter how bad it is, you need to tell the truth. And my dad always said it a different way as well. He said, a poor man only has his word. He's got no money. He's got no gifts. He's got his word. And if you can't trust a man, then that man's worthless.
Ooh.
That's how my dad kind of explained it as a kid, which when you're 6 years old, 7 years old, you're like, whatever, Dad, whatever that means. As I get older, though, I know who I can trust. There's my team around me, and there's people I can trust, and I know I can trust because they've earned that trust. So my kids, that's the first thing I want to teach them is trust. Teach them about lying. If you can't trust somebody, then they're not going to be a friend. They're not going to be a great friend. They're not going to be all these things. That would be the main trait that I would teach from my dad's side. That's one thing that I've always tried to stick to.
Such a great lesson.
And sometimes it hurts me, you know, because sometimes I tell too much truth in some of these interviews. You know, from my mom's side, my mom's such a hard worker. I told her, I said, Mom, you're not making much money. Let me just give you some money and you just volunteer more of your time to. She says she helps out the old folks home. I'm like, Mom, aren't you that age of the old folks home? But she does. She bakes cakes and pies and different things to 90-plus-year-olds. She enjoys it. So I said, Mom, I'll just pay you and you just volunteer more time. She goes, no, because I really want to work. And I said, all right, well, I'm going to pay you less because you're working. I'm not going to give you the money. My mom's the hard work. So I would say dedication of hard work, you know, teaching my kids that education is very key. And by trust, by hard work, you're going to be able to take bits and pieces from different people. And you're going to be able to see that people is what Sandy Sansing always says. If you don't have the right people, you're not going to be successful.
That's right.
I mean, it's like the president of the United States. Look at all the team that he has around him. And hopefully maybe one day the lady that's president, she's going to have the team around her that's going to make her the best president or the better president or make the country better. It's all about the team around you.
I love it. And that's also so important. You never outperform the people you have around you.
You're right.
Long before I ever get a chance to meet you, you did the boy band video with Ben Crane, Hunter Mahan, and Ricky Fowler. It was an internet sensation. In fact, I think Farmers Insurance agreed to chip in $1,000 for every 100,000 views you got in the video. As good as the video is, though, the making of the video is really funny. When the guy looks at your hairy chest, it's more than anybody should ever have to go through. We're going to share the video in the show notes, but tell me, how does that come together? The four of you, the humor, the energy. It's such a fun video and very unexpected from the staid world of golf.
Yeah. So we were like, how can we show a side of us that people don't get to see? We're boring golfers. 5 hours to play golf, 5+ hours in some professional golf events. So how do we do this?
Right.
And this goes around the same time I met Judah Smith, a pastor, a friend of mine now, because of my dad passing with cancer. His dad, 2 months later, passes away of rare blood cancer that he's been dealing with for 5 or so years. And so that's how me and Judah met. And then Judah got this random call. He goes, hey, do you want to hang with me and Justin Bieber and go to Grammy rehearsal? I was like, yeah. And Justin Bieber was a young kid. He's, 12, 13 at the time, maybe. And now we're at dinner. Ben Crane and his wife, me and my wife, we're in Tucson. And Ricky Fowler is our fifth wheel. And we're thinking about how do we shine a light on a sport that can be boring, stuffy. It's very quiet. You know, everybody's dressed with button-up shirts and tucked-in shirts. You know, it's kind of blah sometimes, right? And because of Justin Bieber and Justin Timberlake, his boy band. And, hey, we should do a boy band. We're like, oh my gosh, this would be hilarious. This would be awesome. And then Ben Crane goes, Hunter Mahan's in. I said, but we need to ask him. Oh no, he's in. He owes me a favor. He's in. Hunter he didn't even blink. He was like, yeah, I'm in.
How about Ricky Fowler as a fifth wheel?
Yeah.
I'm sure he loves being called that.
Well, you can say that to your younger brother, right?
Right.
It's one of those things where Ricky was kind of intrigued with us, learning from us. Ben being a strong Christian man of faith, fears God, and he's such a great leader that you can learn from. How would you not want to spend time with that guy and learn from him? Just in everyday life, not even about the Bible, just how he carries himself towards his wife and his kids and people. So we were like, let's just change it. Let's show our personalities that we like to have fun. We're goofy people that just have fun. And back then, the PGA Tour you had an off season, you had a winter season, so you could have some time off. So we had some time to shoot it. And when you think about the outfits.
Oh my gosh, hilarious.
So Ben had some friends that were kind of in that business, the producing business. They went to a thrift store. They found some maternity overalls. They cost 99 cents. I may or may not still have them, just in case. Again, it goes back to being a man. I'm not ashamed of if people think I look ugly or what. And I'm hairy as they come. And so why would you not want to show off the manly chest hair? And so I was in. I was like, yeah, let's show it off. Let's go shirtless, whatever. I've done that many times in many videos, just making fun of myself. I think that's what we have to do.
Yep.
And then Ricky, he's the young up and comer. He's the cool kid. So we got to make him look cool.
He's the Justin Bieber of the show.
Right. Exactly. And then Hunter at the time had the beard, right? So he wanted him like more of an animal kind of skins, a grizzly bear, grizzly Adams character. And then Ben,
a wetsuit.
And he has the helmet. So he was just a off the wall character. So we all had our niches, right? We all had our reasons for certain things. So we just kind of put it together, and lo and behold, everybody was pumped about it.
Yeah.
And with all the sponsorships and the selling on iTunes, we built some wells and got some fresh water for Africa.
That is so cool.
We did it for fun to show a different side of us, but then we put a little charity behind it. So it was fun. But year-round schedule now, we can't do it. We'd love to do some more, though. It's fun.
Oh, that was so much fun. And our goal, we're going to try to get you another 100,000 views.
Perfect.
Our goal is another $1,000 for wells in Africa. Bubba Watson, we've spent so many hours working together. I've grown to not just to love your story, but your heart. Thank you so much for the time today, for the opportunity to learn even more from you, to share it with an even more diverse audience. I just am grateful that you're a corporate competitor.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your leadership and your views on a lot of things that are inspiring. So thank you. Thanks for having me.
Golf is among the most individual of sports, but Bubba Watson teaches us a lesson that you can take to heart when the next challenge disrupts the normal chain of command. Shared victory is greater than a singular success. This week, go out and be a great teammate. It is the ultimate act of servant leadership. If you love and appreciate golfing greats, check out episode 43 with Jack Nicklaus and his son, Jackie. If you could share one habit, one thing you've done consistently that allowed you to separate yourself from your competitors, what would it be? In my 30-year career, 2,500 of the greatest athletes, coaches, and leaders answered that question for me.
This is Don Yeager, who did that that article I was telling you about.
Don, Dave Sims with Coach K. How you doing?
Hey, Don. How you doing, my man? Great, sir. How are
What they gave to me is what I'm giving to you in my online course, Journey to Greatness. Through engaging storytelling and on-demand videos, you will learn the 16 habits that will jumpstart your personal growth. I will instruct you on how to apply these winning characteristics to your life through custom workbook exercises. We are slashing the price for our podcast listeners. Lifetime access to Journey to Greatness is normally $399, but for our podcast listeners, it will be $49 with the code podcast at checkout. Click the banner on corporatecompetitorpodcast.com to enroll. Thanks for listening to the show. I would be so grateful if you left us a rating and a review. We will be rolling out a new episode every Wednesday. To be the first to listen, subscribe to the podcast on our website, corporatecompetitorpodcast.com. Plus, as a thank you gift, you will receive a free chapter from one of my best-selling books on the habits of high-performing teams. Stay in touch by connecting with me on social media at Don Yeager, Yaeger, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Until next week, I appreciate you.